Hey there viewers, Eric O here, Self-Made Auto. Welcome back to another repair video. Got this '01 Taurus that I had in here the other day. I didn't do a video on it, but it came in with a pretty bad misfire, and long story short, we got that fixed. But I did notice that the car was sitting pretty cockeyed in the rear end here. Checked it out for the customer just as a courtesy while it was in, and it does have a broken spring. Gave them some multiple repair options, everything from a used strut to putting springs on this one to quick struts, and they opted to go for the quick struts because the struts on this evidently are all original. So we're going to go ahead and install those, and I'm going to show you how to do it. See the broken spring there? It's over here on the passenger side. It's kind of hanging up there. It's pretty sharp. Pretty common on these too. It's kind of break off coils. A lot of times I've seen them, bust off, or they'll spin around and actually puncture the tire. So you can see here, these are the original struts, or at least I assume they are still Motorcraft struts. And judging by the amount of rust and stuff that's on them, safe to assume. Car is '01, so got a 14-year-old car and 124,000 miles, so I think the people who own it made the right choice, wanting to go with a quick strut assembly. I'm going to start by peeling off the bolt that holds this brake hose on, and basically everything that I do here on the passenger side I'm just going to duplicate there on the driver's side, so I'm not going to show you the procedure on both sides because it's exactly the same. Next thing that has to be done, we have to take this bolt out that runs through the lower knuckle here. It just kind of pinches this together on the strut. Now it's been my experience here that we always have to heat these bolts, and they almost act like a like a grade 5 or a grade 2 bolt. They break really easy, so be careful. I'm just going to take the torch. I'm going to heat it along here where there is no threads. I'm going to heat it where there are threads, because I've seen it where it just the rust actually just binds up on the bolt itself, not so much in the threads. But I just basically am just going to heat across the back here, hit it with an impact, and hope it comes out. So it should. Now on this car, we're going to put brand new sway bar links on it. So I'm just going to I'm not going to mess around trying to get these unhooked. These ones actually don't even really look too bad a condition, seen a whole lot worse. So I'm just going to take the torch and just nip these off while we have it out, because that'll kind of speed up the process here. Now that we got that off, I'm going to take a long barrel and see if we can't just drive this spindle down before we unhook the top of the strut. Alright, go do the other side. Now that the strut's unhooked on both sides, I'm going to finish blazing off the sway bar length there. that part of the job goes pretty quick, so got the dirty part done. I'm gonna go wash my patties and then start tearing apart the inside here. Next thing we gotta do is pop the back seat out, if I remember right. We'll take the seat bun out and the back, and we have to remove the parcel shelf, which is the area in which we used to ride in the cars when we were kids. So let's get started on that. Yeah, not too bad. Well, you guys that work in a shop know full well what I'm saying when you never know what you're going to run into when you get into a customer's car. So I usually just try to move the stuff along. If it's just straight up garbage, like, you know, milk and dirty diapers, usually I have them remove it. But look at this. Do you think that's for me? It's a little turkey. I believe that is a turkey with my name on it. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'll leave all the junk on the floor and see if we can't get this spun out. Now, if memory serves me right, on these rear seat buns, they've got like a little latch in them, so you have to kind of push in, you know, into the seat on the lower half of the frame here, and kind of down. And so essentially, if you picture it like a hook like this, which probably looks a lot different. Let's see, how is that? Yeah, like this. So you actually have to push the seat in, down, and then release it. That's probably not a real good illustration. But they're kind of awkward. So let's see if we can't. Yeah, there's that side. Let me get the other side. And I'll tell you, usually when you pull up these seat buns, it's a whole little treasure chest of goodies. Yeah, not too bad. Well, now that we've got the seat bun out, just you gotta open up your seats here. You never know what you're gonna find back here either. Hopefully no bodies. Some more papers. A few little toys for the sand. So we got a couple bolts here we gotta take out. I think there's 4 total. So there's one up here, one over here, and then bolts that look exactly the same down here in the corners that you can't see on the video. So we're just gonna go ahead and buzz those 4 out. And that should allow us to be able to take the seat back out, kind of pick it up. If I remember right, up here on the parcel shelf, there's a couple little hooks it drops down into. Oops, wrong way, wrong way. So the bolt on the bottom looks like it has a bigger headed washer than the one that goes up top here. Oops, hit the camera. I gotta move a little bit. Yeah, so if you're keeping track, which you should, like I say, the 2 bolts I took off the bottom there had the bigger head on the washer. I'll stick those down there. Hose out here. You gotta be careful with your hose too, especially if they're all slimy. You don't want to be dragging it over the interior. I think that should have loosened us up. Here are these gloves. Alright, put our seat back up. Yep, pick straight up on it. And it does, got 4 little slots back here. Flick our seat belts around. You're probably supposed to take the center belt off, but I don't see the sense in it. We'll just move it forward here. Okay. Grab my air ratchet. Yeah, I'll work around this. Let me grab the camera, I'll show you what that seat hooks down into. There's the back side of the seat, and you can see these hooks on it. It's got one one on both sides. What they do is you come over here and they latch down into this part of the car here. So it's got 3 slots, but only 2 of them are utilized. So hooks right into those slots there. That little donger goes into that little hole. Up here on the parcel shelf, there's a couple, I always call them push nails or little plastic Christmas trees, or they've probably got a technical name. A Ford parcel shelf module retainer clip. So we gotta try to get those out. They usually break. I mean, not these ones in particular, but that style fastener. One on each side. Hold the seatbelt down for you. Both them babies are out. I don't remember if you gotta take off the trim panel on these or not. Yeah, we'll find out. This is a really cramped area to record, so I apologize for not getting the greatest of video. I think. If you don't know, just wiggle it. If you hear something snap, stop wiggling. Yeah, I think we're good. Now that that's out, looks like we've got another little insulator here. Take that out in the same fashion. And we have to do all that to get to those 3 nuts. So that's the top of our strut. That's over on the passenger side, and come over here and the same thing on the driver's side, and nest it back in there. Sure is a whole lot easier when they're inside the trunk, I'll tell you that. If the car's clean and not covered with snow and salt, dirt, and everything else, I usually just take the seat bun and set it up on top. And good idea to do that with the parcel shelf and that little insulator pad too. That way they don't blow away on you or get knocked over or dirty in the shop. Before we get all hog wild and unhook those on the inside, if you don't have somebody to help you, just take this control arm, push it down, just kind of stick your strut back on top of it. That's going to hold a little up tension on it, so when you unhook those 3 nuts, you don't have to worry about it falling down and whacking your brake line or hitting the side of the fender or anything. Usually Vanessa comes out and helps me with these, but kids are on spring break right now, so she's home with all the munchkins. Now I'll just simply come in and take the 3 nuts off. Alright, I gotta stop and take a minute. This little impact right here, this is how big it is, kind of give you a reference. My friend Dennis sent this thing to me. It's a Taiwan 3/8 impacting air ratchet mini, little miniature one. This thing is disgusting. It makes me laugh. It's reactionless, so it doesn't jam up your hands, and it's probably a good thing. This thing would be a finger destroyer if it wasn't. It's got a ton of power. So maybe if he, I know he's going to watch this video and he's going to say, "Where's that swivel that was on there?" Well, Dennis, it broke. Like the second time I used it, always went flying around the shop like a snake. But that's besides the point. The fact of the matter is, this thing is phenomenal. So if he leaves something in the comment box, I will paste it in the description as to where you may be able to obtain one of these air ratchets. I don't know a lot about it other than what him and I talked about. I've never really done many tool reviews, but this thing is the bee's knees. Give you a little closer look at that broken one. fresh from China. Got our brand new quick strut. It's a Monroe, same number left and right. So essentially to put it in, basically the same way you took it out. Take them 3 studs, line them up with the 3 holes in the body. Gonna kind of tip it in, in this direction, back down through that brake hose, line it up, and then just hold pressure back on it with the control arm. That way we can go inside and put it back together and come out here and reverse this process. There's one. There's 2. Come back inside here and put the nuts back on all the struts and get those torqued down to the factory specs. Gosh, it sure came out a lot easier, and it's going to go back in. Get up. Okay, I'll get the partial shelf. Gotta be careful with those. I don't think they're as forgiving as this insulation as far as bending them. You're probably likely to just snap it in half. So we'll have to make sure. It looked like over there on the passenger side, which you couldn't see, it was instead of getting it underneath this piece of trim here, this quarter panel trim, it was just hitting on it. Once it slid under it, then it went in fine. So let me grab that. Hang on there, folks. Getting this seat here. Oh, man. I hate working in the back of cars. The seat belt locked on me, so now every time I touch the seat, it wants to jam forward. I should have shown you, but up there on that third brake light assembly, there was like a open channel that this actually slid down into. Kind of guides itself. You can see when you push it in, it pretty much lays in there perfect. I'll put these back in. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Get our seat belts flicked around here. We'll lift this back up, set it back in the channel. First try. Looks like a few more things wiggled out. Pine cone. And a pen. I think that's the Massachusetts symbol. What's on that? Boston or something? I don't know. something. And we'll just put these back in and get these torqued back down. Oh, you know what? You probably ought to want, you guys probably want to see them locks first, don't you? Let me show you those. So here's the piece up on the seat. Try to hold my camera still here. So there's that piece. Then essentially it hooks into this piece here. So that's open here on this side. There's part A. There's part B. So my illustration was probably pretty close. And you got the same thing over on that side over there. Shoot, I almost forgot to put the pork back. There. That clicked in good. Well, they sure go in a lot easier than they come out. Let's see, we'll stick old Eric the turkey back up here. Stick this up here. Leave the change and stuff down there that was under the seat. Kind of give it a little wiggle. Spread it around. I think we're good. Back over here on the passenger side. Usually down in the knuckle here where the strut goes, usually it's pretty clean. It was such a tight fit. Not a lot of room for growth for rust. We're gonna give her a little spritz of fluid film there and a little bit in the threaded hole. And that bolt came out real hard. I think you can get those bolts new if you happen to break it off and you know, had to drill it out or whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're available through Moog, like a K something, usually like a short number, like a K47 or some weird thing. Or maybe you just want to replace them when you're, you know, when you're doing your strut. So I'll get her kind of lined up on here. I'm going to use the air hammer and just rattle it right back up on. Alright, looks like it started. We got that on the right side. Looks like we might have went up just a smidge too far. We'll have to look through that hole, see when it lines up with the strut. Probably all you saw was the back of my fat head. That's okay. Got a new hat, so you can't complain. It's a pretty sweet one, I gotta tell you. Not even a Jeep guy. Gonna take a little Never Sees and another cut-off can. I hate them. We discussed that in another video. So we're gonna Never Sees up our bolt, so hopefully if these have to be done again, they'll come out a lot easier. But chances are the next trip for this car will be to the crusher. Get this started. Looks like there's probably a little bit of rusty crap in that hole. Let me grab a drill bit. I got some Never Sees on my finger. That's never good. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be in my armpit. Stuff is terrible. So instead of grabbing a drill bit, I got us a little carbide burr. I'm gonna go inside that hole, just kind of clean out the rust. The way that bolt will go in and get started in those threads. My fear was with a drill bit, if I got one, that it might snag and go right into those threads and make a bigger mess than what we already have. It fits right in there now. Run it in here a little bit. Man, this thing is insane. I'll grab the torque spec for that. After you get that torque down, I'm gonna grab our bolt here that holds the brake hose back on and get that lined up. Now this bolt is just a regular, like a tapered bolt, and it makes its own threads, because inside the strut here, when it's new, there is no threads. So we're gonna use the little air ratchet here and see if we can't just zip that in there. Well, it's got threads now. You can see they just go through that little tin tab there. Surprised they don't make like a little, you know, that little kerf that they usually cut in those kind of bolts that have to cut their own threads to kind of peel away the shavings, but they don't. I'm gonna go ahead and slap the other side together. Use the same method, just spray a little fluid film in there, line it up, put it together, never sneeze on the bolt. Use our burr to clean out that hole if we have to. That side over there came apart pretty easy. That bolt pretty much, put a little heat on it, zipped right out. Get that done, hook the brake hose up, and we're gonna set it down. If I remember right, you gotta set these like down on jack stands to put the sway bar link back in there, because the link's like this long, and it's gotta go in a slot that's like this long. So they're a real pain in the butt to do if you're trying to do them on a lift, because it just doesn't work. Yeah, I guess that's it. Oh, also, this video, this is Erico coming to you in HD. So this is some high def action. Let me know what you think. It does take a substantial amount of space to do these videos in 1080 HD, 60p, whatever all of that means. It's supposed to be better. If it's not, then I'm just gonna go back to the old format. So let me know what you think. Got our sway bar link here. Had to walk away from the job for just a few minutes there to go help somebody else out. I went ahead and did the other side just to kind of refresh my memory. I couldn't remember the exact process. So yeah, you do have to have the rear suspension compressed. So if you're doing it on a lift, you know, you got to set it down on a jack stand. I just do them one side at a time, because I find if you set the car down on the rear control arms while it's on the lift, it just displaces too much weight and just really doesn't, you know, compress the rear suspension. Of course, once you get one side down, it's a whole lot easier to do the other side because it holds the sway bar down. So I got these Moog. I tell you, Moog's really going right in the toilet with their parts. These are made in India. Their struts are made in China. Just like anything else, I guess. Well, it comes with these lock nuts. And they're real thin to begin with. I mean, these things are, they only grab a couple threads, and they're the kind of lock nuts, they're the deformed lock nuts. They're kind of smushed, you know, just kind of flattened out. It just jams against the threads. I've seen these a lot of times. You put them on, it just starts peeling threads off. That side there went okay. It does come with a warning: do not exceed 15 foot-pounds, and you can see why, because the threads, you know, they're not threaded all the way down. So essentially, you just put these on until they tighten up. You know, don't be stupid about it. 15 foot-pounds isn't a whole lot. There's no upside down or right side up to their bushings. At least in this application, there's not. So I'll show you where these go. Before I do that, kind of see, I just got the control arm, you know, just like I say, just pushing up on this knuckle to, you know, hold up in on the strut. It's going to give us enough room to put this sway bar link in. This side should go quite a bit easier, I hope. I mean, not that the other side was difficult, but you do have to pull down, you know, so I like to stick them. It's kind of hard to see in the video, I think, but you have to put them down in the sway bar first, and then you can see that we're still lacking, you know, quite a bit, you know, an inch or so from going into the strut. So just grab on the sway bar. We'll have to pull that down. Yeah, so this side's gonna be just as hard. finger pincher if you weren't careful. Sure makes you appreciate the other style now. Sway bar link, I'll tell you that. Should have my Ford head on for working on this thing. So what I'm gonna do now, they give you a couple flats on them. I'm just gonna take and hold one flat with a wrench and just use another wrench up on top. Just take them down. Just take them down until you run out of thread, and then just snug them up. Just use your mind. They say not to exceed 15 foot-pounds, and I just assume so that people, they don't just sit there with a wrench and just keep cranking on them till they till they strip out or whatever. So I'm gonna do that, on the top one, do the same thing on the bottom one, and call it a job. And there's your finished product. Struts installed, pretty easy job. Got new sway bar links on. Pretty much the toughest part of the whole job, in my opinion. Those things are just always difficult to kind of struggle with. So you'll learn, and you can see with the suspension hanging, they're on a pretty extreme angle. It squishes the bushings on them pretty hard, and you just never feel good about those. But set the car on the ground and they pretty much sit in a vertical position, but I think Ford could have done something a little bit different there, in my opinion. But overall, easy job, I'd say. Well, that's going to do it for me, viewers, so thanks for watching. Just got to take and toss the tires back on this car and get the alignment checked, make sure it's still sitting pretty, and if it is, we're going to ship it. If not, we'll just make a few adjustments there. That's always a good idea to do if you're replacing the struts in anything, or replacing the springs. It definitely changes the ride height, and can certainly change the toe in the rear end of one of these, or the camber. Of course, not a lot adjustable on this car, but always a good idea to have it checked anyways. Sure would be a shame to replace some shocks or struts in this case, and springs, and find out it basically destroys their tires because you neglected to check the alignment. But at least this way here we know where it's at and know that we did a good job. If you're doing one of these, well, them sway bar links, they can be pretty tricky. You wouldn't think that'd be the hardest part of the whole job, but they're a pain. I don't know any better way to do them than compress the suspension and stick them in there, and what would be, I guess, the relaxed position. If you know a better idea, go ahead and post it in the comment box and share that with us. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, also post them down there too. And I try to respond to everybody that responds to us. But if I miss your comment or just don't have time, I apologize for that. The channel is growing like crazy. We're up to 3,000 subscribers now, and that's gaining like 50 to 75 per day. So that's pretty wild. A lot of people poking around and checking out the videos, so that's pretty cool. Definitely appreciate all the thumbs ups and likes, and don't forget to like us on Facebook too. If you have a Facebook account, you want to connect with us socially, we can be found there at facebook.com/South Main Auto Repair. There is a link to that right here on our main page of our YouTube. And go ahead and let us know what you think about the new 1080 South Main Auto HD. Let us know if you think it's worth it. So remember, viewers, as always, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.